The Jefferson School held a community meeting to talk about white supremacy and to discuss where Charlottesville goes from here. The room was overflowing with people and ideas, but the resounding message was to make sure that nothing like this weekend ever happens again.
We've got to make sure that they are uncomfortable being here, then make sure that it is known that they're not welcome here.
Hundreds filled the Jefferson School African American Heritage Center on Monday to discuss how Charlottesville can move forward after a weekend of chaos.
To give people a place to decompress, to have an opportunity to sort of create your impressions, but also to say, now what? Because that's the real question, right? Now what?
People split up in groups to share their ideas, some writing on paper, others sharing their thoughts out loud. Some say the statues of Robert E. Lee and Stonewall Jackson need to be taken down completely.
They are invitations to this kind of protest, this kind of violence, that they become a flashpoint for hate groups.
I wrote that not to water down the events that happened this weekend, because once we start forgetting what happened or trying to call it something that it isn't, we forget how much this matters in our community.
Other ideas mentioned creating laws.
We talked about, is there a way to make a legislative push to make it illegal to show up in that full militia gear? It was hard for a lot of residents to know whether these people were police, were they National Guard, or were they protesters, and it was unclear.
People attending say the rally cannot be ignored. Adrienne Oliver says she thinks it's important to talk about race with her daughter.
This taboo fear that we instill in children, that it's not okay to talk about our differences, that it's not okay to celebrate those differences, that is violence.
And her number one message, that Charlottesville stands stronger together.
If you could talk to the community right now, what would you say? I love you. Well, that's a good start.
More than 1,000 people filled UVA's lawn Wednesday in a candlelight vigil for unity.
I think we did have evil come to our town. I don't want that to consume us. I think we want to replace it and overcome it with love.
People who marched say they are standing up to the alt-right group who was in Charlottesville over the weekend.
You never think that something's going to happen to your city, and you never think your city is going to become a hashtag that people are talking about, and then you see it all over the place, and it's super scary, and you just want to take your city back. So that's what we're doing. On August 11th, the alt-right group stormed UVA grounds with torches. Their march ended in a brawl and was declared an unlawful assembly by police. The candlelight vigil Wednesday traced the exact same route the Unite the Right supporters took to show them that Charlottesville shines brighter.
These are not torches, these are candles, and there's a tremendous difference. But our candles will shine brighter than the torches that they did, and we will be speaking of love and inclusion, not hate and division.
The night was full of hope and full of song.
This is replacing that horrific image from last weekend with this image. This is one of love, and love does defeat hate, and we know that in Charlottesville.
I am so proud of the city of Charlottesville. I mean, we were invaded is what happened, but we are not going to be defeated.
Victoria Rezzolo, NBC 29 HD News.
But first, chaos tonight inside Charlottesville City Council chambers. The community rages against councilors as the meeting was taken right off the rails. More unrest in Charlottesville as City Council's regular meeting abruptly ended. The crowd screamed at councilors and eventually took over the meeting, forcing police to intervene. Henry Graff reports.
It ended before it got off the ground. A protest erupted inside Charlottesville City Council chambers Monday night as councilors held their first meeting since deadly violence played out in city streets on August 12th. They were angry.
Y'all had multiple opportunities to intervene, and you did not intervene one time. We told y'all exactly what y'all needed to do, and y'all did nothing.
They demanded answers.
You want to call yourselves the capital of the resistance? The resistance was the medics who saved lives. The resistance are the citizens who are identifying the perpetrators of hate crimes.
They wanted someone held accountable.
Somebody's got to be held accountable for not only the blood of those 3 lives, but for every injury that happened this past weekend. And I will be damned if I see another one of my brothers or sisters get beaten or die.
At one point, councilors and city staff fled the room as protesters jumped up where council sits with a banner saying, "Blood on your hands."
If you guys can't do your job and protect these people, because this is my extended family right here. If you can't do it, I'm going to get somebody together and we going to do it.
Charlottesville police officers flooded council chambers in an attempt to keep the crowd calm. But it backfired. 3 people were hauled out and arrested.
You can drag citizens out of here, your officers, and look at the officers you brought here tonight versus who is usually here. What kind of statement are you all making?
The Legal Aid Justice Center in Charlottesville is calling on City Council, City Manager, and the Police Chief to embrace an open, transparent investigation into the police practices for both the August rally and July's KKK rally.
Charlottesville City Council spent more than 2 hours behind closed doors today hashing over what happened on August 12th and who should be held accountable for what went wrong.
And by claiming it as a private session to discuss personnel matters, it cast a shadow over the employment status of both the police chief and the city manager. Tonight, both of those men still have their jobs, and there's no real word on who's at fault for police officers not stopping the violence sooner that played out on city streets. NBC 29's Taylor Gleason is live with our top story at 6. Good evening, Taylor.
Well, counselors kept the conversation that they had today confidential from reporters. However, they were very clear in stating that they were sorry for all that has happened in Charlottesville recently with the negativity and that there were mistakes made on August 12th.
We are very sorry that it culminated in the lives of 3 people being lost.
The 5 Charlottesville city councilors and the city manager met behind closed doors Thursday.
We talked about what was going on this summer, both July 8 and August 12, and that is where we're leaving it.
The conversation was private, but council members say they want an open dialogue on how to improve city safety measures.
We are holding ourselves accountable, and we had a kind of conversation with our city manager about what we need to be doing moving forward.
They say no one person is truly at fault.
We're not looking to place blame, quote unquote, on anyone. I think it's also important that Mayor Signer, myself, all of council, I think we all will agree that we made there were some mistakes that were made, and there definitely is room for improvement on all fronts.
Some councilors believe there could have been ways to prevent the chaos that occurred on August 12th. Now they are looking to start answering questions that were brought during Monday's overrun council meeting.
We definitely have to empathize and understand why people are so passionate and upset about how things transpire. We have to acknowledge that, and we have to provide people with the opportunity to express themselves.
They hope to have a clear answer for the community when it comes to the question of what happens next.
We're going to be fine. Like, we are going to continue to move forward.
The city manager has appointed a community task force to look at all that did occur on the 12th. It'll take 2 to 3 months to complete the entire review.
Taylor Gleason live outside Charlottesville City Hall tonight. Thank you, Taylor. Charlottesville Mayor Mike Signer, in a lengthy social media post, says he was intentionally kept in the dark about police plans for the August 12th Unite the Right rally downtown.
Yeah, Signer blames Police Chief Al Thomas for that and for telling him the only way he could help that day was to stay out of the chief's way. That's where NBC 29's Henry Graff picks up our team coverage. Hi, Henry.
Casey, good evening. Mayor Mike Signer's post on social media caught some of his fellow city councilors off guard yet again, as well as those inside Charlottesville City Hall. He posted it shortly before that closed-door meeting that happened this morning at City Hall. The post was directly about council's closed session regarding personnel matters. Signer attempted to relitigate the events that led up to that violent weekend, adding that as mayor, he was not allowed into the city's command center during monitoring operations. The mayor also said council was not given the security plan for August 12th. Signer told me today that he wrote the post to tell the community how city government works and his role in it.
I think we've all spoken in our own ways about our concerns, about what we want to happen going forward. So the most important thing going forward is that council speaks with one voice, that we act collectively.
In his post, the mayor also said there are serious questions about the city's handling of security, communications, and governance. And as you heard the mayor there in that portion of the interview, he did say that council should be speaking as one entity. But tonight, Signer's fellow councilors and those in City Hall are wondering when exactly that is going to happen based off the mayor's latest social media post.
All right, Henry Graff live in downtown Charlottesville. Thank you, Henry. A town hall meeting to discuss what happened on August 12th, planned for tonight, will now happen this weekend. Instead, the community recovery meeting will be Sunday afternoon from 3 to 5 at Charlottesville High School. That change comes because the city says there was a scheduling conflict at CHS. This get-together follows a boisterous city council meeting on Monday night where people demanded answers from Charlottesville leaders about logistics and police response to the events on August 12th. Tonight, Charlottesville's mayor is being put under the microscope for his leadership during a time of crisis.
Community members and others say Mike Signer may be more concerned about his image than accepting responsibility for the city's failures during that Unite the Right rally almost 2 weeks ago. NBC 29's Henry Graff is live at City Hall with our top story details. Good evening, Henry.
Steve, good evening. Yeah, I spoke with a number of people today, from City Hall to the streets of Charlottesville itself, and they all tell me the same thing, that Mayor Mike Signer's social media post from yesterday, along with his handling of Monday night's chaotic city council meeting and other events, were, quote, absolutely improper.
You've been called to order, so you'll have to hear me.
Whether it's a city council meeting he could have better planned for, or social media posts, there's a growing concern about the leadership coming from Charlottesville City Hall, specifically from the mayor himself.
You don't come out and point fingers at people as a leader.
Thursday, Mayor Mike Signer issued a statement on Facebook just prior to a closed-door city council meeting. In it, he blamed City Manager Maurice Jones and Police Chief Al Thomas for their response to the violence downtown on August 12th.
Even things that he may not be directly responsible for, he's the mayor of this town, and he needs to take ownership for it.
On the record and off, the cries are coming from within City Hall, from fellow councilors and community members, including Don Gathers and Jeff Fogel.
It was all about him. It was all about, I'm not responsible for anything, and don't ever look at me.
Both men were at Monday night's city council meeting where things got heated and out of hand.
It was like, how could you possibly, and of course he is responsible for drawing the agenda. None of the other councilors have that responsibility.
Former city councilor Dee Dee Smith, who was unseated by Signer, says she's disappointed with what she's seeing.
Now in this latest tragedy, to see the level of self-promotion that is going on, I think it is time to reflect and question whether or not this is a good fit.
Smith and others say it's time for healing, reviewing, and moving forward as one.
It's such a time for leadership, and we're just not seeing it.
I did reach out today to Mayor Mike Signer to ask him for a comment on these allegations from community members. He did not get back to us. Yesterday we did talk with him, though, via text message, and he said that social media post that we were talking about that happened yesterday, he said that was a way for him to communicate to people in the community about exactly how city government works here in Charlottesville, and specifically his role as mayor in all of that.
Henry Graff live outside Charlottesville City Hall tonight. A former Charlottesville federal prosecutor will lead an independent review into 3 events involving white supremacists. Tim Heafy will lead the external review of the city's response to the May 13th Torchlight Rally at Emancipation Park, the July 8th Ku Klux Klan rally in Justice Park, and the August 12th Unite the Right rally at Emancipation Park.
These are hard issues of balancing the First Amendment and the Second Amendment, right? The right to bear arms and the right to protest and public safety. When those things conflict, that creates tension, obviously. And we need to help the city figure out how to manage that tension.
Tonight, Charlottesville's city manager is firing back at claims made by Mayor Mike Signer about the city's preparations and response to the Unite the Right rally. The Daily Progress obtained a confidential memo outlining those concerns from the mayor and city councilors to city manager Maurice Jones ahead of this closed-door meeting Thursday. Jones is responding tonight. In this 5-page letter, he argues 16 points brought up in that memo. Jones says city staff moved forward with plans to relocate the rally, even though the will of council to move the rally from Emancipation to McIntyre Park was never clear. In response to concerns about police officers ignoring people asking for help, Jones says police commanders will review body camera footage from each officer assigned to the rally and counter-protest. Jones also claims Mayor Signer threatened his job and the police chief's job twice during the height of the crisis, telling Jones, quote, "You work for me." Jones and the police chief are still employed by the city. Tonight, Mayor Signer tells NBC 29 he regrets that comment. He says it came out in a heated moment on a horrible day.
What happened? I'm not going to work with that agenda, so if that's what you have in mind, you'd better rethink it right now. Thank you very much.
Emotions run high at a town hall meeting meant to help Charlottesville recover from the violence related to the Unite the Right rally and protests. Instead, many people are expressing outrage at city council and police. More was said than done at that town hall tonight. For 3 hours, people stood in line waiting their turn to say how they felt about the events of August 12th and to air their concerns. NBC 29's Megan Moriarty was there and has the details in our top story at 10. Megan?
Good evening, Matt. Charlottesville High School was packed with people speaking out against the Charlottesville Police Department and City Council members. And most say they just do not feel safe anymore.
Council must resign because there is blood on their hands.
People in Charlottesville feel betrayed.
We truly don't trust your boss, and we certainly don't trust your boss's boss.
Angry.
Nobody was intervening in all of this violence that was happening.
And bewildered.
Where is the understanding of our side and the understanding of good and how good is subjective, but somehow deep down inside, everybody knows that hitting a girl with a car is wrong.
They came out by the dozens Sunday to a town hall meeting hosted by the city and the Community Relations Services Division of the U.S. Department of Justice. The meeting was meant to allow people to express their concerns and work together to come up with solutions.
Every time we have had something happen here in Charlottesville, they have these meetings where they ask for suggestions on what we can do to change, and nothing ever changes. They just basically want the community to come in to speak, be outraged, and get it all out and calm down.
But the issues seem to outweigh the resolutions. People brought up their concerns about open carry firearm laws, Confederate monuments, housing, and the role of the police on August 12th.
You couldn't see a Charlottesville police officer anywhere.
Something needs to be done with the Charlottesville Police Department because, like I said, we already knew that we weren't going to be protected. We want to know, why were they told to stay in town?
City Councilor Kathy Galvin says leaders need to own up to their mistakes and the city needs to be better prepared if this happens again.
I'm deeply sad. I apologize to my city for the fact that this violence happened and that 3 people died and over 30 people injured.
Most believe this violence is rooted in an existing issue that has been going on for a while.
This community needs to heal in racial terms. It has nothing to do with outsiders. The community is really governed by white supremacy.
There was supposed to be a part of that town hall set aside to talk about potential resolutions to move on from all this. However, that has been postponed at this time.
Megan Moriarty starting us off live in our Charlottesville newsroom tonight. Thank you, Megan. In light of all these recent events in Charlottesville, a group is offering free counseling sessions to the community. The Counseling Alliance of Virginia, or CAVA, is extending healing help to those who have been triggered or traumatized by the unrest in the community. CAVA's mental health clinicians are available for free sessions in the Charlottesville office.
Right now, Charlottesville is facing a challenge of recovering from weeks of bad press and lost profits, while also reconciling decades of divisions in the city.
Yeah, business and tourism leaders are launching a new campaign to change the city's image in hopes of bringing people back to the city. But they're also listening to make sure everyone's included in the economic recovery. NBC 29's Matt Tallhelm is live on the downtown mall with our top story tonight. Hi, Matt.
Yes, Stephen Casey, this is the logo for this new Seville Stands for Love campaign. Banners will start going up with this message all across the downtown area. It also involves ideas like a community-wide dinner, events at the Tom Tom Founders Festival, and also a collaboration beer. But community leaders want to make sure that those words stand for love aren't just words in a PR campaign.
Come visit Charlottesville, come stay here, come dine here, come shop here.
Charlottesville's economic recovery team is bringing business owners, tourism directors, and state and city officials to the same table.
We are looking for inclusiveness, and we are looking for everybody to get on board with the Stand for Love message.
They're kicking off that marketing campaign to deal with an immediate aspect of the aftermath from August 12th's Unite the Right rally and violence.
Our businesses need our support, and we have had a tough summer. We are hearing there are small shop owners here that we know and love and shop at, that they are going to the bank to take out a $5,000 loan, a $3,000 loan to make their payroll.
But they're also struggling with some tough love.
Love is passionate. Love is sometimes not what we want, what we like. It's hard. It's work.
Yolanda Harrell worked in the hospitality industry in Charlottesville. She wants to make sure the city has a long-term strategy for recovery and reconciliation.
We need to authentically look at ourselves and say, what can we do so that this doesn't happen again? But that's only going to come from true change from within.
This team is asking for leadership from Charlottesville City Hall. The mayor and vice mayor say no love is lost, in spite of a very public spat with the city manager over the response to August 12th.
We love everyone, but not just with our words, with our tangible actions and our resources to provide equity.
I think it should be a very real presentation and the community getting back on its feet and moving forward even better than before.
The recovery team promises this campaign will reveal Charlottesville's true love, flaws and all.
We are very much wanting to take the messaging and the dialogue back on our city and not have it be an image of hate and divisiveness.
This economic recovery team is working with two nationally known nationwide public relations firms to try to get this message out. The state also plans with its tourism board to put together a video that highlights that message of what Charlottesville stands for.
All right, Matt Tallham live for us tonight. Thank you, Matt.
Tonight we know who will be the subject of that closed-door city council meeting set for tomorrow afternoon, with councilors discussing the performance and discipline of an elected official. NBC 29's Henry Graff is tracking the developing details from City Hall. Good evening, Henry.
Steve, good evening. Two sources do confirm to NBC 29 that Mayor Mike Signer will be the subject of tomorrow's closed-door meeting at City Hall. The mayor agreed to that meeting, and the vote to hold that meeting, I'm told, was unanimous. Signer has come under fire recently for his handling of events in the wake of the deadly and violent demonstration and protest on August 12th. According to the city code of ordinances, council can fine the mayor $300 for disorderly conduct or expel him by a 2/3 vote for malfeasance or misfeasance in office. But it is unlikely, I'm told, council will use that authority.
They could decide in the course of their discussion, no, we don't think that there is disorderly conduct sufficient to deserve a punishment of some sort, but they might still decide as they are discussing these things, they might persuade the mayor to make a statement that sort of smooths things over a little bit.
The meeting gets underway at 2 in the afternoon in the conference room over at Charlottesville City Hall, and the hope is that everybody can emerge from this meeting tomorrow from behind closed doors on a unified front as a unified group, and to really get down to the hard work of helping the community of Charlottesville begin the healing process.
Henry Graff live outside Charlottesville City Hall tonight.
The men and women hoping to become Charlottesville's next councilors are weighing in on that controversy surrounding the August 12th rally and the city's Confederate statues. NBC 29's Taylor Gleason spoke with them and joins us in our Charlottesville newsroom. Hi, Taylor.
Well, Casey, we spoke with multiple council candidates today, and they all have different stances, but one very clear message: that trust and transparency need to be fixed between city council and the community.
I can't afford to see Charlottesville destroyed.
Independent city council candidate Kenny Jackson says the controversy surrounding the Confederate statues needs to stop.
The statue needs to be left alone. It should have never been an issue in the first place.
Not all the independent candidates agree.
There's been too much ugliness and hatred that have poured out of it.
Nikia Walker says the statues need to go and Charlottesville should reconcile with its past.
Transparency. We definitely have a lack of transparency in the city as a whole, and we're not very good at assessing ourselves.
Democratic candidate Heather Hill says if she were on council, she would have voted no to removing the statues back in February, With what she knows now, her answer has changed.
We have to still go through the legal steps to do it, to pursue this. And it's just unfortunate because I think it could take some time.
She wants Charlottesville to heal.
We have to come together on ways that, we can bridge that gap between today and when ultimately those statues can come down.
Candidates agree the trust between Charlottesville and its city council needs to mend.
We don't know the full picture here, and they are privy to information that we are not. And I just hope that they can rebuild trust within themselves.
Democrat Amy Laufer and the others hope Charlottesville can learn from all that has happened in 2017.
We are a loving community. We're going to take care of each other. And, we will rebuild these relationships to move forward.
Charlottesville City Council's special closed-door meeting just wrapped up about a half an hour ago.
The focus was Mayor Mike Signer and his handling of issues following the August 12th Unite the Right rally. Tonight, the mayor apologized, but he now faces certain conditions as he moves forward with his job on council. NBC 29's Henry Graff is tracking our top story tonight at 6. Good evening, Henry.
Steve, good evening. Tonight from City Hall, Mayor Mike Signer offered an apology after about 3 hours behind closed doors here at City Hall. He offered that apology to his fellow city councilors as well as to members of this community for his conduct. The mayor said he's committing now to 4 protocols after backlash against his leadership in the wake of the deadly violence on August 12th. Signer will now only meet with senior staff with another councilor present. He will also be more mindful of the council clerk's time. Signer will share leadership at city council meetings. Finally, he will not make any announcement as mayor without council consent and a councilor present.
These actions included an ill-advised Facebook post that impugned the reputations of our city manager, Maurice Jones, and our chief of police, Al Thomas, for which I sincerely apologize. Going forward, I'm extremely committed to working with my colleagues on city council, to putting the needs of the city and our community first.
2 of Signer's fellow councilors made remarks here today as well. Kathy Galvin and Kristen Zakos both say they accept the apology from the mayor and are moving forward now together. In addition to the media that gathered here for that closed-door meeting at City Hall, community members were also here spectating, wondering what was going to happen here in the end. Some of them actually did want to see the mayor resign in the end, or at the very least have council expel him from City Council, but City Council in the end, Steve, chose to not exercise any of those types of authorities here in this situation.
Henry Graff live outside Charlottesville City Hall tonight.
For joining us first tonight, both Charlottesville and Albemarle County government leaders will hear from the community this week about the controversial events of August 11th and 12th.
Both City Council and the Board of Supervisors are setting special time aside at their meetings this week to discuss the racial violence. NBC 29's Spencer Burke is in our Charlottesville newsroom with what we can expect. Hi, Spencer.
Well, Casey and Steve, time will be set aside for people to share their feelings, voice their frustrations, and just offer ideas for next steps. Albemarle County supervisors will be starting their meeting at noon on Wednesday, 1 hour earlier than usual.
The independent review into the white supremacist events over the summer in Charlottesville will rely on input from the community.
Yeah, this afternoon, the man leading that review announced a new top line and a website to help with that work. NBC 29's Henry Graff is tracking the details in our top story tonight. Hi, Henry.
Casey, Steve, good evening. The former federal prosecutor is just beginning that daunting task of piecing together what went wrong and what went right over the summer. Tim Hafey does know this, though, in the end, he does need to hear from a lot of eyewitnesses. The attorney held a news conference late this afternoon at City Space. He announced 2 new ways for people to relay information about 3 white supremacist events this summer. The first is a website and the second is a telephone tip line. Hafey also told reporters he does not know how long that independent review will take, but has already talked with a number of stakeholders within City Hall.
We're going to talk with them, we're going to review documents, images, and try to come up with an objective narrative and chronology of what occurred.
He said they don't know if they will be able to get the work done for $100,000, adding the $545 per hour rate they are currently charging the city comes at a discount from the standard rate. That new website can be found online at CharlottesvilleIndependentReview.com. That telephone tip line is 877-4HUNTON, Hunton being HUNTON. Hafey also says he wants to hear from anybody who might have documents, pictures, video from those summer rallies.
All right, Henry Graff live in Charlottesville for us tonight. Thank you, Henry. Email documents revealed 2 key pieces of information leading up to the violence that unfolded in Charlottesville in August. The 88 pages of emails indicate the University of Virginia officials were alerted at 3:23 p.m. August 11th about the alt-right's plans to hold a torchlight rally on grounds. That email from the Vice Provost for Administration was sent to UVA's Chief of Police, among others. The documents also show that Mayor Mike Signer brought on a public relations firm for talking points and to coordinate media interviews leading up to and after the August 12th rally. That cost the city $4,900.